everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hope in the Time of Corona. Today we're on episode 56 and it's a Friday, so happy Friday everyone. I'm here today to follow on with what Matt was doing with James last week, and if you haven't seen that, the idea is that we want to know you guys and we want you to know each other. So we are taking members of our Hope community and we're asking them questions. We want to find out more of their story, more of who they are, and we want you guys to get to know them as well. So if you haven't seen Matt's video with James Brown, not that James Brown, go and check that out. That was last week's video, and James told us a lot about his story and his experience with coronavirus especially. So yeah, go look at that. That was last Friday's. But this week we have got a very special guest in the form of Emma A. Church. Hello Emma.
Yeah.
Lovely to see you. Tell me where you are, what are you doing, how are you isolating?
So I'm in Middlesbrough at the moment. I'm with my boyfriend's family. So it's not my family home, but I came up here as soon as lockdown started to happen. So yeah, I've been here for like nearly 8 weeks now, which is just crazy. Sort of feels like yesterday, but it feels like I've been here forever at the same time.
I know the feeling, oh my goodness. And just before we kick off into any more questions, when I like to interview people, I like to do a bit of a research. So I did type your name into Google, and I just want you to quickly explain to people, what's race walking, Emma? What's race?
This is a question I did not think you would ask me. Yeah, honestly, there's some very strange pictures and videos when you type in, lots of bum wiggling. So race walking, essentially, it is an Olympic sport. Everyone thinks it's very strange, and to be fair, when I watch like my old self now, I'm like, what was I doing? But basically,
it's so great
over a long distance. So I started doing it when I was, oh my gosh, like 7 years old, and I did it professionally and internationally until I was like 18, 19. So I went and competed all around the world doing lots of bum wiggling, but it was hard, I really promise. Like, it looked hilarious. Really difficult. It's harder than running, I promise.
I love it. I loved it so much, and I was like, Emma A. Church is a great British medalist. Like, this is insane. So
it feels like a bit of my past life, I'm not gonna lie. So I don't really like ever find this out about me, and then it does. I'm like, oh no. the weird short shorts and crop tops that are coming back out, the memories.
I love it so much, and I really wanted everyone else to know that we have an official #athlete in this Hope community. So
just call me Mo Farah, yeah.
Look out for the tutorials coming soon. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. So like you said, you didn't grow up in London. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a village in South Leicestershire called Blaby. Everyone thinks it's pronounced Blabby, but it's Blaby. So not a million miles from London, but yeah, I grew up there until I was 18, and then I moved to London.
And how did you end up coming to London?
I ended up coming to London. I didn't really expect to. So I applied for university here as my second choice, but then I didn't get my first choice. So I ended up coming here to study at LSE. I studied social anthropology. So in 2015, I packed all my bags, headed for the big city, and then just never left, apart from now.
Yeah, I think this counts as leaving. No, joking. So you didn't leave London. What are you doing now? How are you still here?
Good question. I didn't think I would still be here. So I now work for the SPEAR programme, which is a joint venture between Hope Church, so you guys, and also Resurgo. So I got a graduate job there straight after university, and I've been there for nearly 2 years now. So I'm no longer a graduate coach, but I am the lead coach on the SPEAR programme, which means I'm responsible for helping young people from disadvantaged backgrounds, specifically in Islington, to get into work. And yeah, it's the most rewarding job, and I feel really lucky that I was able to stay here after university.
Yeah, it's super cool. If you don't know what SPEAR is, I really recommend checking it out, going on their website. They do some really good work within London and around the country now, I think, as well. You mentioned Hope Church and you mentioned SPEAR. So how, would you like to tell people how you got involved with the Hope community? How did you start coming to Hope?
Yeah, so I started coming to Hope purely by chance, really, but I started on the Alpha course, which was running out of Hope Church. So on a really cold, windy Monday morning night, I think it was like in January, about 2017, I think, maybe 18, I decided to enroll on Alpha, and it was just it was an Alpha course which just really like fitted in around my university schedule. So I started to coming to Alpha at Hope Church, and then about halfway through Alpha, I got invited to come to the 5 on a Sunday. And I was like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I've come to Alpha for a few weeks, I sort of know what it's going to be like. So yeah, I just came along to the 5, and again, I never left. Like, I never left London, I've never left Hope.
And you mentioned Alpha. Can you sum up Alpha quickly for anyone that doesn't know what it is, and just like what to expect on it? What is it?
Yeah, so Alpha is, I think it's around a 10-week course which helps people explore the bigger questions in life, which is really just what enticed me. I was doing anthropology at uni, and I was like, actually, I just want to find out more about faith. I'd not grown up in a faith household, so I never had anyone to ask these questions to. So by coming on Alpha, it just allows you to explore those questions in more detail, find out a little bit more specifically about the Christian faith, and just give God a chance to break through, really, and just see him at work every single day.
Cool. I love it when people can sum up Alpha really well. That was very concise and very, very impressive. And so you did Alpha and you started coming to church. Like, if someone doesn't want to start coming to church, or they just don't know about God, do you like recommend it as a course? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the main things which actually, like now as I reflect back on my experience on Alpha, I think I'm just really struck by how open-minded the people are, not only on the course, but that lead the course as well. So I think maybe one of the fears that people have is like, oh, my opinions won't be respected or accepted. They might be different to other people's. I think people might have in the back of their mind that obviously it's a question, it's a course exploring the bigger questions of life, but it's also run by the church. So it's like, oh no, what if I'm a bit different to everyone else? But no, I don't think you should worry about that at all. I think it's for everyone. Everyone's really accepting and understanding, and you just really do feel like a sense of freedom to be able to be yourself, that you're welcomed, but also like you just, no opinion is wrong or right. It's just great to have a discussion around it, and I just think it's a really good way now, because I think when you leave university or education, you don't really get a chance to think about things in like quite a lot of detail, and that's what Alpha does. So I do think it's for everyone, but you can engage as much or as little as you like. There's no pressure in any way.
Yeah, and just to add on what Emma says as well, like you can come in with any viewpoint, and I know loads of people who, count themselves as Christians, but want to still ask those questions. And going on Alpha, I think as a Christian, is also super, super helpful. Like I helped out actually the same year that Emma helped out, and I'll ask you about that in a sec. But coming in as a Christian for Alpha, I just really can't recommend enough as well to ask those questions in the what Emma was saying, the non-judgmental way of, and the approach of like the leaders in that, like you can be whoever you want and you can think whatever you want. There's no kind of brainwashing as such going, this is what you should think. It's like, no, that's totally valid to have an opinion like that. So yeah, do you want to expand a little bit about like how you helped out on Alpha? Like, how did you find that?
Yeah, so I think it was exactly 1 year after I'd done the Alpha course and became a Christian as a result of that. So I started working for the Sphere programme, so sort of as a joint partnership with the church, and I decided, I really want to help out on Alpha in a way, just sort of see, like Freya was saying, what it's like as a Christian, because obviously being a new Christian still, I'm like, I want to explore some of those questions from a different standpoint, and having, I suppose, a little bit of a firmer understanding, but wanting to find out a little bit more. And also, I suppose, give back, if you want to call it giving back. Like, obviously, people that run it are all volunteers. So I was like, actually, I want to be able to help bring other people to faith as well. So yeah, the year after I started to help out alongside Freya and Paul and Bonnie, and that involved just sort of welcoming people into the group, answering any questions they had, facilitating discussion, but really I think it was just making people feel really welcome, and I just loved the buzz that we had in the group, and yeah, I think it just really brought home to me actually how accepting and welcoming the church are, and how privileged I am to be able to be a part of Hope.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, that's so true. And we're still in touch with some of the people that are on Alpha course, which is just really nice. Like, they haven't all started coming to church, but it's great. It's so important, I think, especially as Christians in today's society to be friends with people who have different viewpoints to you and different ways of thinking to you. And Alpha completely opened the doors for that for me, especially being in London and working for a church and only knowing people that go to church. Being able to talk to people who think differently, come from different backgrounds is super important as well. So yeah, Alpha. So it led to you becoming a Christian, and then you started coming to church, which is great. And then coronavirus hit, obviously not immediately afterwards. But I just wanted to ask a bit off the cuff, like, how are you finding having faith in this time? Do you think it makes a difference to your experience of coronavirus?
Yeah, I really do actually. And I think when all of this started to happen and everything felt very out of control, I think I was just really grateful for the fact that I know God is in control. Like, things in the world might not seem it, but God does have it in his hands, and he has each of us there. He has a path for each of us, and he knows the beginning from the end. And I think that's what really brought me comfort, because I think we can get so bogged down, but it's like, actually there is hope in Jesus and in God. And I think that actually it's made me appreciate that more at this time, just being able to stop and just be still, spend time with God, and actually like maybe explore things that, you know, in our busyness of our daily lives we don't get the chance to do. Think about things, chat to people about things that, you know, just might pass us by. Questions about faith, like we were saying about Alpha, but exploring that with other people still, even now. So yeah, I actually think that if anything, my sense of hope has probably increased over this time rather than decreased, which is probably the opposite of what some people would expect. Like, why is this happening? But I'm like, no, like, God has it. And I think that brings so much comfort this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think being able to do morning prayer every day, which wasn't something that I did before church. Emma's been coming along a lot to our morning prayer that we run on weekdays, apart from Fridays, at 8:30. And I've just loved doing it every day. It's never something that I've done before. I didn't grow up in the Church of England. And so the idea of doing all this like liturgy, but then you do it every day, and it's like reading bits of the Bible, it's reading Psalms, it's reflecting on the Psalms, and then it's praying for specific parts and specific cycles. I found really helpful for my walk, especially at this time as well. Like you were saying, it brings you hope, it brings you the routine. And what I was going to say was, do you have any, like, I'm going to ask you for tips in lockdown, but do you have any tips for members of Hope Community, members of the church community? How can they keep up with their like spiritual lives? Like, do you have any recommendations of what you've been doing that's like helped your walk with God? You know, stay tight, stay there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so again, I'd say that please feel free to come along to any of the sort of prayer sessions that Hope are putting on. Even like 8:30 in the morning somehow now seems quite early, but actually I really love like having that as the start of my day, some of the days in the week. I just think that gives you a chance to, like Freya was saying, explore Bible passages that you probably would overlook or skim by in greater detail with some really lovely people, in my opinion. So I think that's been really good actually for just being able to read the Bible more for me. I also downloaded the Letico 365 app, which is Pete Gregg from the prayer course. He sort of oversees that, and just being able to do a daily devotional, just really slow down for a few minutes, take time out to pray. I've just been finding that has been really helpful in terms of centering my mind and focusing that on God right at the start of every day too. And I'd say just like to reach out to other people in the church community, people that you might speak to on a Sunday, that you know a little bit. I've been having quite a few phone calls with my friend Hazel, and that's just been lovely, because then we've chatted about the Bible together and Judges and the series that we're doing. So I think just having that sort of friendship, this shouldn't be a barrier to being able to keep in contact with people, but it should be a catalyst in a way. Now we've got a little bit more time on our hands, and just like more time for people and relationship, like just making that a priority, I think has been really good for me over this time. And why not do it with people that we see on a Sunday?
So good. Thank you, Emma, so much. And lastly, do you have any tips practically for surviving lockdown? What have you been up to? What do you recommend people do with their time?
You know what? I just think you should do whatever brings you joy. that's like the simplest thing, because I think our bodies are such intuitive things, and so is our minds. Like, we know what we want to do at certain times, what we don't want to do. Don't force yourself to do something you don't want to do just because you see on social media that people are going on 10-mile runs, or do what makes you happy. Like, if that means reading a book for a few hours with a cup of tea, so be it. If it means going on like a 10-mile hike, then do it. But I just think we should just stop and like listen to what we actually want to do during this time. And I think just embrace the good days and the bad days. I think this is just like such a roller coaster of a time. So I think it's just being like, yeah, some days are going to be worse than others, but let's ride it out. And I think just linked to it, start your day with a little bit of prayer. That's just really helped just center me throughout the day. It just keeps a perspective on things, and when things aren't going so well, I'm like, tomorrow's a new day and God's still got that too.
So good. Love it. Love that. You've made me want to go and read my book with a cup of tea now, so that is what I will be doing in a little bit. Yeah, so that's all my questions. That's all I've written down. But thank you so much, Emma, for doing this interview, for chatting to me, for chatting to the beautiful Hope community. Yeah, well, that's it for today's episode. A few things that we touched on in that episode. Alpha, come along. We're starting it next Wednesday the 20th, and it's a lunchtime. We're trying to keep it to an hour. And because we've got this beauty of Zoom, we can ask anyone from around the country. So if there's anyone that's been on your heart recently that you would really think would benefit from Alpha, then invite them along. Come with them, don't come with them. There's going to be a really friendly group of people running it. I'm going to ask some friends, and I think it's a great time to ask people who you wouldn't be able to go to Alpha with because you're on the other side of the country. Now you've got the opportunity to. And as Emma said, it's a really non-judgmental, easy way to ask those questions. So come along to Alpha. We run morning prayer Monday to Thursday at 8:30 a.m. and on Sundays we run it at 9 a.m. Really recommend. I'd love for you to join us. It's really laid back, really easy way to just, like Emma said, read the Bible, start your day, just check in with yourself, check in with God. So come to that as well. And yeah, and keep your eyes peeled because we might have a race walking how-to from our very own Emma.
I'll do a takeover one day, and I'll do like a tutorial in the garden.
I can't wait, and you shouldn't be able to wait too. So yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get ready for that video. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.